All right. I think we're
Yep.
going live. So yeah, for everyone watching, this is episode 7 of Unplanned with Phil Bland, and today I've got Kev Campbell with me. Kev's a good friend of mine, and he's also been super successful with his business partner Toni, building up a group of restaurants in Glasgow, and around Scotland. So I thought Kev would be a great person to speak to about his journey and some of the ups and downs and things like that. So, all right. First of all, we're going live. So, first of all, I'm gonna just share this on LinkedIn for anyone that wants to come watch just now. All right. Here we go. So, Kev, how are you coping with quarantine? How are you? I think that's the big topic that's on everybody's minds at the moment.
Yes, it's a challenge, isn't it, for everybody? Like just adjusting to some new version of normal. So I think it's going to be it's going to be like this for a while, I suppose. Maybe easing gently back in over 6-12 months. I don't know. Still trying to get my head.
Yeah, I think the weird thing about it was how just quickly it all happened. It was hard to like adjust. It's like we went from like everything was completely normal to like everything, like the whole world has changed. And it's like I guess it's like you've been doing a lot of stuff with encouraging, like Kev's been really great at making our group of friends exercise at the moment and stuff, and he's been on a bit of a exercise and healthy fitness journey over this period of time. So that's been
I suppose for the first couple of weeks it was just a matter of trying to kill time during the day, just trying to make the day go by a bit easier. So that I felt like, I suppose, a good opportunity to do a wee bit of self-improvement at the same time.
Yeah, I think that's like, it's either you just choose to just sit there and just think, wallow in self-pity about the way that things are, or you can choose to, use things to your things to your advantage.
Yeah, true. And I've done both.
Yeah. So I guess I wanted to talk to Kev about why he kind of got into the restaurant business, and I guess if you could kind of tell some of the viewers like what it was that interested you, how you came up with some of the concepts for the first restaurant, and some of that early
okay. I was brought up in a family Greek restaurant in Glasgow. My grandfather came over from Cyprus in the 50s, and then he'd had a restaurant, sort of various businesses, but he had one restaurant for maybe 25 years, something like that. So I was kind of always brought up around that and sort of in amongst what was going on. So I was, suppose it was like he retired, and I worked and done my own thing for a number of years, and then got back into it in my sort of early 20s again, back into I opened my first place when I was 23.
What did you do in the family restaurant?
Nothing. I was young at the time, so it was nothing of any great. No, just like odds and ends, like dishwasher.
Like, I did that.
Prepping stuff, just anything really, to be honest with you. And just it was but it was just being about it from it, like since birth, really, to be honest with you. So always been like going to my grandfather would always come and collect me on a Saturday morning at 6 o'clock, and we'd go to the markets. When I was like 10 years old, go around in those days you'd big fresh fruit markets, fish markets. But now there's not so much happening that way. It's all delivered, so that you go to these markets and they're pretty dead. But it used to be you couldn't move for everybody, vans and people and traders and stuff. So when you're 10, that's quite exciting, I suppose. Going around trying all the food and stuff. So that was the story for that. And my business partner Toni, his dad is Spanish, so he had kind of a very similar upbringing, really. And then amongst his dad had a couple of restaurants and stuff, and had worked in restaurants before that, and so he was brought up in the same environment. So we had this kind of shared heritage on that one, which was I think was important.
Did you do anything before? I mean, Kevin and I got to know each other over the last few years, so I didn't kind of see you early in the career, but like, was it were you kind of striking out on your own and doing your own restaurants at first? And how did you kind of come together with Toni to work on this kind of group of restaurants?
We both opened kind of bars in the city centre when we were young, and we were neighbours. He was in, we were kind of round the corner from each other, and we became friends. We used to drink in each other's bars and just hang about with each other. And we by the time we come in, we probably both had them for about 3 or 4 years, and then we decided to sell up and get into the restaurants. But we'd at that point said if we were going to do something, then we'd like to do it together. And then it maybe was a year or so later that I found a spot in Finniston, which is a sort of up and coming sort of area in Glasgow, or maybe beyond up and coming now. Yeah, it's come up, yes. And so I contacted Toni and said, would you want to do it? And he said, yeah, and that was it. And that was like October 2009. So what's that, 10 and a half years really. So yeah, and that's we've so I think we worked that restaurant 7 days a week together for 2.5 years before we opened another one.
Wow.
So we were in, and you think that's quite an intense thing, because you're really working from 11 till 11, 12 hours a day for 7 days a week for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And actually we never ever stopped having fun at that time. It was a complete laugh every day. Yeah. We were just like, it seemed to, we really, really enjoyed it. It was not a chore. I think because of that, we formed a relationship that hence why we're still in business together after 10 years.
And how did you guys come up with the concept? What was the concept of the first restaurant? Like, how was it different?
I did the Greek thing because I figured like that. Well, I had access to Greek chefs and stuff, and sort of family members and stuff like that as well to help. So that was the first one. But then on the second, then after that we took on another place, and I'd said to Toni, if we do the Greek one, I promise you that the next one will be Spanish. But the way it worked out, actually, we took on a big, the Rotunda, and it wasn't the next one, but it was the one after that, to be fair. So and that was it. So and then on the flip side of doing the Spanish, he was then able to bring in his expertise and his knowledge from his dad. And
so how did the Rotunda happen? Was it like because like obviously when you're starting anything, it's like you're bootstrapping things, you're trying to scrap things together, save money where you can.
We got lucky. We'll see. At the time when we took that on, it was like 2011, and at that time, it was in the so we started really the restaurant business in 2009, and then this was 2011. But so there was really in the midst of the big recession. So it played into our hands because we were able to do some great deals and also get places at that time that we probably never have been able to get because there was no interest in them. So the Rotunda was one of those examples where we capitalized on the fact that the market was dead.
Yeah.
And we actually done a lot of stuff on that, because what we'd found, because we started in business in 2004, 2005 ourselves, and at that point the market was pretty hot, and like when we were going in for even vacant premises, we were having to pay the landlord, fees 20,000-30,000, whereas post 2007 it completely changed, where the landlords were throwing anything at you to fill their premises with something and cheap rents, huge incentives. So essentially we were talking about that the other day as well. We're saying like it's actually one of the reasons why we're not scared now, because we've done all this. In 2007 was worse than this, I think, in terms of this is more shocking and like it's a bigger change. But the 2007 was like it took years to come out of that, whereas I think this one will be a wee bit quicker. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but.
Yeah, I mean, it's just hard to tell whether, I mean, there's the like actually creating, but if they, I mean, just to kind of veer off topic a little bit, I mean, if they can't get a vaccine for a long period of time, I mean, I think some of the government has done a great job of like bringing the curve down and getting people scared enough that they feel like they need to stay at home, but also going to take a lot to undo that.
One thing that I always remember from the last one was when the recession ended, basically, we were quite slow to realise it because we were so geared up to basically offering value, and and then actually what happened was we probably ran about a year too far under chart, squeezing ourselves on the price. So that's one thing I probably would try not to do again, is like to be more, because like when a recession ends, there's no, you're not really notified about it. It's a kind of gradual process, and fair enough, when the economy goes back into growth, when that happens. But when the public mood changes again to people willing to spend money, that's more something you have to kind of gauge yourself, rather than there's not an announcement to say that's everything's great now, everyone's back to spending money, so we were slow in that one. I thought I'll try not to do that again.
And in what way do you mean slow? Like, how does that play out?
Well, it just like started dawning on us that we were squeezing ourselves too tight on the margins and stuff, and we were struggling to, like, so when you're building in a recession, like if you make very small profits, it's great, and you're happy to do that, and you're not really, you're just trying to get through it. And for us, it was trying to get a foot in the door, so it was like it was a good opportunity. But then there comes a point when the recession ends and you have to really start making some money at that point, otherwise what's the point doing it? But we were still kind of in that kind of mood of, we were frightened to put prices up and stuff, and even when, like, because constantly you have to put prices up with like duty increases and minimum wage increases and things like that, whereas we sometimes used to kind of absorb some of those costs into our margins just to try and keep the customer from, because rather than increasing all the prices and having that sort of negative feedback from the customer. Whereas
you're assuming the customers wouldn't come back and pay the slightly higher prices at that point.
Exactly. After 2 or 3 rounds of that, then all of a sudden what happens is that you find yourself, your margins have been cut to nothing, and basically you're much cheaper than anyone else. And so I was sort of dawning on us that we were, that was the case. But yeah, that's maybe a lesson for this time, for not to do that again.
And see, when I mean, I know this because I'm from Glasgow as well, but the Rotunda is quite a large unit. So how did that already come like pre-packaged with the different restaurants within it?
No. It came with, it was split in two. So it was like a Chinese restaurant on 2 floors and a casino on the top 2 floors. And we took over the Chinese restaurant first, and the casino had been vacant for 7 years. It had been owned by Gala Casinos, but they'd moved to down beside the river. And they just had that empty, it didn't really bother them. And then we contacted Gala Casinos to see if they would be up for a chat about us taking it over. Because at this point they're building the Hydro Arena right beside the restaurant, which is I think it's like the 5th busiest music venue in the world for football. And so they were very keen to do something with us, and at the time they were getting broken up. They'd just bought Coral bookmakers, and the Monopolies Commission were breaking them up, so they were trying to offload all their empty stuff. So that again, that they paid us to take it off them, really, as well. So that was a stroke of luck for timing as well. So then we took over the whole building, which comes with its own challenges as well, because it's obviously a 150-year-old Victorian building that's got constant maintenance.
Yeah.
Which is always handy. It's always handy having Gala Casino paying half of it, because they were pretty prompt with their payments, and the things that would make us, panic wasn't very much for them. So it was always good to have that 50%. But then that was maybe one of the downsides, is that we took on a lot of maintenance.
So that was like a 50% kind of joint venture with you and with them, or?
No, it was just a building was split in two, and it was like they operated one half and us the other. There was no joint.
Got it.
Yeah. So we just took over their thing. So yeah, and that was, when was that? 2013. So 7 years ago.
Right. And then did you do that incrementally? Like a lot of people that have work on these big units, it's like you open one part of it and then.
Well, no, the Hydro opened in August or September 2013. Rod Stewart opened it. So there was like 5 days of Rod Stewart. So that was that we had to get it all up and running for that. And then further to that, the Commonwealth Games was in July 2014.
Right.
So, and that was that was like, that kind of level of business is for that further Rotunda probably would never be seen again. I'm not sure, to be honest with you. It was like insane, like 1 week of complete madness. Like the only thing was maybe going to be
The climate change.
Yeah, the climate change conference, which has been put back now to next year, I think, is it 2021?
Yeah, I think they delayed it. Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry, but that's my phone going. So you've gone those. It sounds like pretty good timing, just like with the Commonwealth Games coming to Glasgow at the same time, and then you got kind of good prices on the rental. Seemed to kind of fit into place.
Yeah.
How much do you think?
A lot of timing, a lot of good timing. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. How much do you think was kind of luck versus kind of strategic thinking, planning things?
It's probably like 50-50, but I think like you don't get one without the other, I'd imagine. But essentially, if you don't get the luck, then your strategic thinking's kind of useless anyway. Because I do think you need that little bit of timing is key, isn't it? And but then again, stuff you miss out on, you can't really reflect on that because you don't really know how it would have went. So I suppose you can only just reflect on your good timing, can't you?
Yeah, that's true.
Stuff that you miss out on in bad timing, does it even doesn't exist anymore? So there's nothing, it's not,
just gonna have to put that behind you and then try and make the best of it. And then Rioja opened up, so then now we're at 3 restaurants. Now you've got a lot on your plate, so I guess you were probably at this point having to find good people that could help you run the places.
Yeah, at that point, but because there's 2 of us as well, it was quite good, as because it was obviously we split the responsibilities. Like one thing we always did in the beginning was we learned quite quickly was that we both have our separate tasks, so things don't get either missed or double done. And also as well, it means that we split the restaurants in 2 really, so people had a point of contact and weren't able to kind of
manipulate against one another.
So that, because just like the way people would do their mum and dad or something, because I know that if someone comes to me from a restaurant that Tony deals with asking me about something that he would definitely have dealt with, that he's already said no.
And
vice versa. So that was one of the first things we done. I think that was just I don't know, we just decided to do that from day one, and that just to make things easier, and it worked out quite well.
Yeah, I think I remember you also talking about having a business partner is quite helpful when you're having negotiations with people.
Well, it's a bit like when you're buying a car, isn't it? And then it comes to signing and you're kind of should I, shouldn't I? You can always say, well, I need to go and speak to my wife. And that's a lie usually. But, people, because if a guy's going to buy a car, he usually probably just does it, I'm sure. But so that we always kind of have that, if you have a meeting, sometimes it's good not to both be there, so you can kind of go back and reflect and see if you both agree as well, because it just gives you that little sort of
breathing space.
Yeah, exactly, which is important because sometimes you can get. It's good to have that time to reflect, isn't it? But yeah.
Did you? When have you and kind of Toni? I need to get Toni on here as well, get his perspective on all of this. But you divided up tasks, so it's kind of helped because you wouldn't be conflicting as much. But on kind of bigger decisions, is there any times that you guys have had big disagreements about how things should play out, and then more importantly, what kind of process did you use for mediating those decisions and coming to the
we argue. We don't argue is the wrong word. We never argue, but we debate points a lot. We've had to over the years, if we've got some more and more places, we've had to kind of raise the level of which the points get debated. Otherwise, you kind of start debating trivial, because sometimes trivial stuff just needs to be decided upon, and as it gets higher, then we both would involve each other, for our business anyway. And what we do is, I think the key has been for the business partnership has been, to set egos aside, because what happens that if people start letting the ego rule the decision, then all of a sudden, then it's for example, if, and this happens more often than not, if I think something and then Toni says, look, that's actually not the best way of doing it, I think this is, and as soon as you realize that you're wrong, you admit it, because you're only too happy for something better to be getting done, because you were only offering your best opinion anyway. It wasn't like your if your ego was playing it out, it would be I would, it's my way, or and I'm not prepared to go any other way. But it's not about that for us. We're really about the collective.
Finding
So
the right, finding
and
the
if we hadn't have been, and people think, oh, maybe that's just a lot of rubbish, maybe he's just saying that, but you wouldn't last 10 years in business, two people, if you didn't have that attitude, because it is there is compromises as well. And I think as well, you have to kind of persuade each other into like stuff, sometimes like when it's not so cut and dry, and you have to kind of, it can take weeks or months of persuasion both ways, and eventually people will come round. But certainly there's never been times when we've either done something that we don't want to do.
I've heard a good expression. It's like, you need to have strong opinions but loosely held, so you're willing
that's a good, that's good. I know you've got to be, otherwise you become headstrong, and it's like if well, this is, I think that's the key, isn't it, to be able to admit when you're, it's not even necessarily that you're wrong, but it just could be that it's something better could be done.
And also the other thing is, if somebody else feels, if you don't allow somebody to, if they have an idea about something and they're kind of owning that at a lower level, for like maybe not business partnership, but like employees as well, if they think that things should be done a certain way, and you're constantly like just second checking or like telling them it should be done another way, and that then people stop thinking
like micromanagement. Well, I think like for us, we encourage people to come up with their ideas. I guess like we've got our, managers and area managers and stuff, and like I suppose there's a ceiling at which we would like them to just operate under and make decisions themselves, because we've given them that level of trust that they can do it. And then we have a kind of, I suppose, like a common sense ceiling where they would come to us with something that was like maybe that they felt that we should be getting involved in. But
how do you like instill that in them? Because like that, not every organization has that.
Well, I think what happens is probably through error. So maybe in the beginning they might come to you a couple of times with stuff that you think they should be just getting on with, and you just have to say, look, I think that's something that you don't really need to involve me in every time. I think you can go on that. And then other times you maybe overstep the mark and do something you think, well, I think you should have, consulted me on that one, to be fair. And then I guess I suppose in the beginning it's a bit, there's a wee bit of trial and error. But then if that were to continue to be the case over a prolonged period, then you know that the person's not the right fit for the job, I suppose.
And I was kind of just thinking also, how do you, like, I guess that's a kind of common trait, I guess cultural trait with all of the different restaurants, but then I guess all of them have their own kind of unique, both kind of group of staff that are working in the restaurants that kind of have their own distinctive kind of culture, and then but then again there's kind of like a consistency of like taking some ownership over making decisions and stuff like that. So how do you allow them to like have that kind of autonomy at the same time and build their own cultures within these restaurants? Do you think about it deeply like that?
I think like I think like we always, I think the ethos within the restaurants really is how we feel about things in business in general, and like I think like we like to probably surround ourselves with people who have that same ethos. But that's probably very positive for us overall. But the negative sides to that is it probably exclude people with different talents that basically could come in and sort of look at things from a different angle, but just don't really work well with us. And we have tried to do it, but we just feel like we prefer to work with people of our own mindset rather than that people come in with like different ideas, but then that's probably a thing that we should improve on.
Yeah. Do you think there's like a common thread? Like, is it service that's important? Like, what are the most important things to you about this business? Like, given, like I've kind of mentioned on some of the other show, like discussions about how quite often there's like, you know, the restaurants are an expression of what you and Toni believe, you know, should a type of service that should be created. So it's like what do you want it to reflect upon you, given it's your painting, it's your creation. You know, how do you want what do you want to be the common threads?
I guess like we just I want to feel like it's our voice. We want to feel like it's our voice. It's kind of our message. Like this is something that you can see us, you know, that we're behind. You know, it's not something that like it's completely, you know, it's something that's relatable to us. First of all, in terms of what we're trying to offer, we're just trying to offer people. I think like people. I think apart from the quality of the food and the service, which is a given, because like if they don't have that, then you know it's not going to work. But I feel like we really try and work on the sort of energy of the place, because I think people come into somewhere, they're really looking for a bit for a buzz and you know, to lift their spirits. Essentially, you're really just walking into a room, but it's like it's the, you know, when you go into like some places you go into, they have that buzz whether there's 2 people in or 200. Do you know? And it's just got that energy, and that's what we try and create. And we think we create it quite well, successfully. So, sometimes you kind of miss it, but I get it's through just like, you know, different things kind of create it. The people, I'd say, is probably the number one. The people that work there. And then they've got the actual the space itself, the design, you know, it's just it's hard to put my finger on like what exactly like the key elements are, but we kind of know how to do it. It's been like, we've been working on it for 15 years, so now we feel like we've got a pretty good blueprint of how to go in, and we specialize in taking stuff on that's failed. And we go in and take over these vacant places and sort of spin them into successful restaurants, and that's what we do.
And what's the kind of the process for thinking about, like, I guess, which concept to go for? Now you'd started with things that you already knew in a way, and then you're kind of going in. I know that you've done some kind of Japanese and things. Or other cultures. So
it comes like in it's like, I'll give you an example. I opened a Japanese restaurant, and the head chef that started was Korean, and he lived in Glasgow, but he knew how to cook Japanese food as well. And at the time, and it's just like 2015, he said to me, "Look, I think that Korean fried chicken is going to be really a big thing. I think you should open a Korean fried chicken place, and you know, I'll do it with you." And I was like, thinking, Korean fried chicken, really? I'm not sure. Is that in Glasgow? Is Glasgow ready for Korean fried chicken? And then I went down to London maybe a year later, and went to a place on Old Street in Shoreditch. It was like it's called On the Bab Korean fried chicken restaurant. Well, I'm going to check this out. I went on a Monday night at like 5 o'clock, and it had like an hour queue around the block. And I was like, wow. And then I thought, right. So I went back down. Maybe a couple of months later, I thought, I'm going to try it again, see what, and it was like, it was like 9:30, so it was towards the end of service, midweek, hour queue, and I thought, right, definitely have to do that in Glasgow, and and it was like the offering is something that we could easily, you know, provide with the chef, so stuff like that. So therefore, I have to say that I can't really take 100% of the credit for that. You know, I have to pass some of the credit on to the chef for that, and I suppose it's taking advice on, and then you know, I was dismissive at first, but when it only took half an hour out my day down in London to go and just check this place out of interest, just to see what he was on about, and then to see it so busy so regularly, and even to this day it's absolutely rammed. I think they've got 4 or 5 places down there now. It's obviously, if you don't act upon that when you have the means to, then you've missed an opportunity, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's something I've kind of noticed about you. You're quite good at talent spotting as well. It's not just like the concept, but it's like who's going to run the restaurant, who's going to.
We get like, I mean, we've got different concepts, but we bring in all the Korean chefs. You know, it takes a lot of effort. You know, it's not easy to find these guys and get them to come to Glasgow. A lot of them are in London and stuff. So it's like you're asking a lot of these guys to sort of make a big move. So that can be quite tough. But if we don't do it that way, then it's not authentic. Halloumi is it's a bit easier finding Greek guys in Glasgow than it is Korean. But yeah, again, the halloumi restaurants or the chefs are like 80% Greek. Obviously, a few Scottish guys in there, a few local guys in there that have been doing it for years as well, that are just as good now. So yeah, I think the authenticity is very important. I think as well. People want to believe in what they're doing, don't they?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that, yeah, I know. Yeah, it's got to be kind of. It can't just be, a make pretend like Korean restaurant that doesn't have any sort of authenticity.
Yeah.
You can put a sort of switch on the menu, I guess, to cater for UK palates or whatnot.
Yeah. Well, I think also a good indicator, for example, for the Korean places we have, is like 80% of the clientele is Korean or Chinese students mainly, but certainly Korean or Chinese residents of Glasgow. So that usually tells you that you're doing something authentic, I would say, if you get the locals to buy into it.
Yeah,
Because they're not easily pleased. Essentially, but like going to somewhere far flung and having like haggis, neeps and tatties, and it's probably like a 99% chance it'll be pretty rubbish. So actually getting somewhere good, actually doing something good, so far away, is people value that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. What do you think's next then? Do you think? I mean, what do you imagine the next? I mean, it's a crazy time. It's quite funny. Like everyone's 5-year plans have gone down the window, gone down the pan. Nobody can plan in advance for what they're gonna do. But what do you see yourself still kind of rolling out restaurant concepts in the next 5-10 years?
But we're going to be, first of all, we're going to try and consolidate what we've got. So it's got to the point now where I think people are done kind of just with it's time. I think it's time to get back to work really for everybody. Certainly for us, we're now like making decisions on like things that can what's going to operate and what maybe is going to be better just to keep closed for the next 6 months. But that's a decision we have to make, because some things that have good takeaway offering or potential, certainly we're going to get them firing on all cylinders, and things that don't, we have to decide whether it's probably going to be more cost effective just to keep them shut for until the restrictions are much more relaxed. It's not easy to open up a restaurant up that can only take 30 or 50% of its tables.
I've been watching quite a bit on the news, and they're talking to a lot of people that kind of own restaurants and things, and it's like the business model. I mean, would you agree the business model sort of relies upon a lot of people coming in over a short space of time and spending, and then you get the volumes that you need to make money?
We need to be, the margins are so tight in restaurants. I mean, it's one of the hardest businesses to make money, I think, and that you need to be packed to make profit, and at least very busy. So if one of our places was kind of half, see, on a Friday and Saturday night, if you were 50% full, it will certainly lose a lot of money. And to be shut, essentially, we can probably mothball them down to not costing us too much money to keep them that kind of way. But if they're open, the money you can lose is unlimited. In terms of like all the running costs, the labour, we need to work it out. But what we are going to do is we're going to focus on some small takeaway type concepts that we're going to get opened up over the next few months. And after that, I think what we're going to try and do is move some of those concepts and existing ones down into England, London, Manchester, some of the big cities down there. But essentially, we'd like to try and go down to London now and maybe take advantage of some good deals like we did back in 2007.
So like which of the restaurants would you say would be a good fit down there, and why would you choose those concepts over other ones?
I think like our bibimbap Korean concept, tamaki concept would plug in well down there in any sort of, especially sort of zone 1, zone 2. And then I think halloumi would go down great, but not just yet. I think it would be maybe something for after Christmas in the new year, just because maybe by then it's going to be a little bit easier to have a more of a sort of restaurant.
And what is bibimbap and tamaki like?
Bibimbap's a Korean sort of fried chicken place. So that would go down well there no matter what. Tamaki's a little sort of sushi joint that sits sort of outside Glasgow Central Station. It's sort of very sort of in and out place for people just grabbing the train or grabbing lunch for an office. So that it's not a fancy, it's basic, but it works.
Yeah.
And then maybe for halloumi, the plan is going to be to create a more takeaway-esque kind of brand around it and do something, with the gyros, the Greek wraps, and something like that down in London. I think would go down, amazingly, especially with the nice summers down there.
What is it, given like you said before that, the restaurant business is one of like the hardest because it's like tight margins and things.
Yep.
What is it that it sounds like the future plan is like, I want to, both consolidate the existing restaurants that we've got and also expand down into London with some of the concepts. What is it that you love so much about the restaurant business, given how hard it is, that you want to kind of stay in that area, or?
Because I think we're quite good at it. We're certainly good at like what we, in terms of what we do, in terms of like the offering that we give people. It's all pretty casual, and when we're not trying to win accolades, like Michelin stars or that kind of thing. We're actually just trying to create busy little businesses, create a bit of work, hopefully make a profit. And I think for us, the thing with London would be that we would be able to replicate. So if we could, in Glasgow, it's quite hard to, I'd say like you can open 1 or 2 places usually. And after that, it becomes difficult because people see it as kind of chainy. There's not really the volume of people to justify more than 2, I don't think. Whereas in London, you can maybe do, half a dozen of the same concept. People in London generally don't cross town, so it's not like I don't think they get that same feeling of it being chainy. Whether if there's one in Peckham and one in Camden, they'll probably never see the other one. Whereas in Glasgow, it's totally different. It's much more local, as you know, and also for our point of view, that gives us probably a bit of an exit strategy on the fact that we could maybe grow concepts into 5-6 restaurants over a sort of fairly short period of time, and then try and sell them to people that don't have that the ability to create stuff out of nothing, but maybe have the different skill set of being able to take stuff at that level and roll it out.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's the plan. Whether it works or not, don't know. Hope so.
Nice. Yeah. No, it's exciting bringing something to life. I think that's like the thing that I've seen with you guys is like you're never happy just, or like satisfied wanting to just like run the same restaurant and do the same thing. You're always kind of trying new things.
It's constantly evolving. So like, see, restaurants, you need to completely reimagine them every 5 years. And if you're lucky, you might get 10 years out of it. But essentially, if you think about, say, Glasgow, for example, like how many restaurants are actually 10 years old or older that haven't really changed? And there's not many. And the ones that are like that you can tell they become quite staid, and it's just constantly moving. So if you're not constantly doing new things and moving on and changing old things and offloading old stuff, then essentially you just get caught up in 10 years ago and you become out of date and you don't even know it. So you just have to keep moving, I think.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Anything else you wanted to talk about, Kev?
That was it. I think I really sort of covered it all. I think you're very, yeah.
I enjoyed that. Right.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we'll do it again. Hopefully we'll do another one after you've branched out into the London market.
Yeah. All right, man.
All right. Thanks for your time.
Speak to you soon. Cheers.
Catch you later.